Hi, welcome to Texas Lone Wolf 73 channel, source for Red Pill Truth. So we're going to go ahead and cover a topic that's quite controversial, so to speak. It's quite controversial. All right? Now, you know, I'm working on exploring some music to add to my videos, and of course, that will be coming up later on. So I'm going to get some music. And, anyways, so let's get back to it. Welcome back to the channel. This is part 2, Toxic Church Leadership. And, oh yes, I'm fixing to do a story, and I've have obtained permission from a special someone that I'm not going to name in this video due to privacy purposes. But the names have changed to reflect the authenticity of the story that I'm about to tell you that has occurred in the year 2004. Right, the mom and the child went to church on a Sunday morning along with the parents and everyone else. The pastor's wife decided to take it upon herself to take a 4 or 5 year old child named John Doe for a joyride. The child wanted his mom, naturally, that child and mom bond was there. The mother turned around and sensed something was wrong. The mom, Jane Doe, she looked around, looked for her little son named John Doe. Couldn't find her. She was crying and hysterically upset because the pastor's wife took it upon herself to pick the child up without asking the mother, so to speak, to go joyriding. And okay, now the back view of this story is, number one, the pastor's wife violated several laws. The child should be in a car seat up to the age of 6 here in the state of Texas. I think it's up to the age of 10 or somewhere around there. You got to have the child in a car seat that is approved by the state, approved by the city ordinance, approved by the federal government. The pastor's wife broke every law in the book on that. Second, the pastor's wife grabbed the child without asking to go for a joyride, took it upon herself to do that. Go for a joyride. John Doe was crying for Jane Doe, the mom. And Fitzgerald Pepperoni, the daddy, was at home at the time. Had he came to church, the church would have been turned upside down because the whole family was upset because the little child was crying for his mama. The pastor's wife decided to blame her daughter, use her daughter as a scapegoat for her little mishap. Now, of course, the leader of the church decided to act like Homer Simpson of this era and try to put on a facade. People can actually clearly see right through his controlling self, narcissistic self, so to speak. So, anyways, just want to give heads up that, this is not going to bode really well. Now, also, here's another occurrence. And after this occurrence, the family quit going to church afterwards. Then it turned around, the family started going to another church. I'm not going to name for privacy reasons. It was located in a rural town in the Lone Star State. And anyways, when it came for New Year's celebration, They took an air horn, scared the poor little baby, and had a baby crying, and everybody laughed about it. You know that this is right here is pretty much what I'm going to go ahead and cover on or talk about. So, anyways, let's go ahead and let's touch up on this topic. So we got this toxic church leadership. Now, you're supposed to go to church for emotional support for a long day's labor when you work at a job. Instead, you get put down by the pastors and, oh, well, got to allocate this, make up all kind of fictitious excuses to cover up the wrongdoing for the employer. Instead of being for the working class, it's more for the corporation or the company, so to speak. So yes, this does happen. And then these modern churches wonder why their membership numbers drop. You want to go kowtow to the employers and corporations and take up for them over the employees' rights. When the employees come to you for support, you dismiss them. Thus, you're worried about that tithe and offerings and stuff. All that stuff has no historical significance. You see what I'm saying? So, anyways, consider the following two scenes. Scene 1, a staff member has a moral failure and is terminated. Okay, the same day the staff gathered and informed of the termination as well as events surrounding the firing. After announcing the circumstances, senior leadership, of course, the senior leadership sometimes can have little cracks and crevices in their faults. And they're not perfect. Remember, this is a man-made church. And it hampers the ability for the Almighty in the universe and us humans to interact with each other. They're supposed to be the bridge between the Almighty and us. But usually, sometimes things can appear as fiction. It looks real, but it isn't. Sometimes they point the fingers to themselves and say that they're God, which is a form of blasphemy. They're giving themselves credit for what God has done. And take note, this video is designed to awaken those who watch the said video. Do not, I repeat, do not be deceived by the very pastors that come run around screaming at you like you're a person on the street and telling you things that, they pretend that they know you, but really they don't. For example, I went to work at a pizza parlor and I had a pastor on the phone screaming at me, and I'm not even a member of his church. He told me, lean not to your own understanding. What understanding am I leaning on? If I'm walking my solitary path in life, following and listening to the Almighty in the universe to give me wisdom, give me knowledge. What is wrong with the understanding of the Almighty giving me wisdom and knowledge over a human pastor that's in a church, quote, ordained by the state? You can be ordained by the state and be ignorant. You can be ordained by the state and be controlling. You can be ordained by the state and be a pastor by the state with a stupid little piece of paper called license. Ordain, whatever. And have a brainwashed cult, so to speak. So, yeah. We're going to go there, okay? Now, let's go ahead. After announcing these circumstances, senior leadership immediately threatened the staff that they will have the same fate if they do something similar. Oh, yeah. These exist. You don't want to miss this. And two, begin to verbalize and formalize a communication plan on how to deal with a potential fallout of the said circumstance. Oh, fallout's going to happen. People ain't going to show up. And that's where the money spigot's going to stop. You see? If a pastor goes out there, start trying to tell people what to wear, tell people how to come to church, and try to clean up people before let God clean them up himself. God himself is almighty. He works miracles. He works wonders, so to speak. So pastors taking upon themselves to do God's work. And that is where traditions of men fall into place. So, okay. Scene 2 right here. Staff member has a moral failure, and this happens in every building called church. They call that the holiest place on the planet. So we have a problem. We got pastors that turned away from the faith of God in direction of God's direction and compassion for the assembly members and some current members and new members. They come in and they put them down. Let me tell you something. You do not want to do this. And you got some pastors that are players. You got some pastors that are narcissistic. You got some pastors that are control freaks. You got pastors that, then you got pastors that program the members to tattle on their own children, their own neighbor. And did you know that Christianity is a form of communism, socialism, such? You have to worship a man as God. And remember, there's a threat. There's a remnant who actually follow the Almighty in the universe. And they walk a solitary life asking for guidance. And remember, it's a religion versus spiritualism. Spiritualism or spirituality is infinite, walking in the spirit on a solitary journey between you and Almighty. Nothing bothering or getting in the way. Religion is depending on a certain minority group, a certain cult, certain small group of people that just want to listen to one person speak, and you adhere to the man-made tradition. See, traditions of men will lead other people into the ditch or embankment when they're blind. It's like blind leading the blind. Alright? So, staff person recognized the sin and resigns. Yes. In their last day of the employment of the church, see, church is a 503c business. Did you know that? Every time you put money in an offering platter, they don't have to report that as to the IRS. Well, they have to report that to the IRS, but they're not taxed on it. You see? Church is a 503c business, a corporation. You see what I'm saying? And remember, if money is evil, why they ask for it in church? Wow. Hey, makes you think, don't it? This here makes you think. Alright? Remember, churches do not like critical thinkers. They do not like people who think for themselves. And they call the members sheeple because they depend on the shepherd to protect them. But what if, all right, what if the shepherd preys on one of the sheep members? Oh yeah, that has happened. That has happened before. I'll give you one. John Hagee. In one of the towns in Texas, John Hagee. I don't know what church his name is, but he messed with a sheeple member. Impregnated her, married her, after divorcing the first wife. So, yeah. You want to go there? Let's go there. So, as you know, in conclusion to part 1 of Toxic Leadership in Church video that has dropped on May the 2nd, this is going to be part 2. We're going to get into more details. And this is supposed to be good. All right. Now, you know, we have Rod Parsley. We have Kenneth Copeland, Robert Tilton, John Hagee, Creflo Dollar. Creflo Dollar got arrested for disciplining his 15-year-old child in Georgia, so to speak. I think he gave a spanking, and then she called the cops on him, and he got arrested, so to speak. So church itself is a corporation. It's a business. They hire pastors, and they have to go by the doctrine of men to preach to the sheeple that are in the congregation, to control what they think, what they do, and all that. See, when you start thinking for yourself, this is going to the YouTube listeners that are watching this video, okay? I'm talking to you directly, from me to you. When you start thinking for yourself, you become a threat to the agenda, okay? And you are born to stand out from the crowd, not conform to society norms. If society tells you to march, to hop like a rabbit to be successful, don't listen to society. Society is so full of rabbit poop that they can't see through the clouded lens of someone with cataracts. You see what I'm saying? Okay. And, let's go ahead. And the other staff of leadership gather around the employee to pray for them and let them know that they're loved and still available in the work of God's kingdom. See, let me tell you about God's kingdom. It's within a person. It's not in the building. See, most pastors will use the scripture to scare the sheeple into submission. Like, do not forsake the assembly of yourselves. Really? So, what's going on right this? Then through the circumstances, staff person's departure, as well as spend time praying together for that staff person, then one another in the church. See, this is what I just read to you. It's all about mind control. It's about controlling the mind. And the mind itself has been brainwashed in order for people to be submissive to authority. So anyways, what you would go want to know is that some departures and special time praying together and all that. Just so you know, some modern churches decide to have little problems with, as some people just coming in, trying to get support. And it's meant to, for people to come together to give each other support emotionally, mentally, psychologically, and physically. But they made it into a business. Well, if you don't cough up money in the platter, you're not saved. Oh, you're cursed. So they pull out Malachi 3:18 and beat everybody on the head. You know, in the way back then, tithing was you had to take one part of your belongings, like your animal that you're raising. You know, majority of the Jews at the time when the Bible was written were farmers. They grew wheat, they grew all kinds of stuff for human consumption. They raised sheep, they raised cattle, they raised goats, they raised all kinds of stuff. And that tithing at that time was to feed the Levite priest, to give him food so he can, you don't have to worry about being taken care of. So, the money is a tool that's often misused, so to speak. And this is a tool that's misused all the time. So modern young adults, they go out and they buy weed or they buy drugs with it. That's misuse of the tool right there. And some people go out and buy lottery tickets. That's misuse of the tool there. But also, when you do that, you also tempt God. So, it's misuse of a tool. Now, wow, let's go through 1 through 10 right here. All right, work, they are, the toxic traits right here, we're going to talk about it on the toxic leader. They're work field versus grace field. Okay, rules, policy, laws. Oh my goodness. Traditions of men. Let's go there, shall we? So, yeah, they want everybody to follow rules. They want everybody to bow down to the will of men instead of will of God. That is so powerful. Now, let's go to number 2. They're all about the reputation. Okay, you know what reputation is? Where other people think about you. They worry about what other people think about them, all right? Most important thing you have to look at is what God thinks about you. And yes, self-forgiveness goes a long ways. And pushback or disagreement or how they frown upon, really? So that actually happens in modern churches as well. And I didn't bring this up. They surround with yes people, like the betas. The introverted followers. You tell them to go march to the edge of the cliff, they do it. Some people do step out of the hierarchy standards to follow their own path with their own convictions. And number 6, they're full of pride. And this here is the most stinkiest form of deal to have in your life. Oh, just have a little pride and a little pride now. Oh, really? A little bit is worse than. Let me illustrate what this is. Pride is like when a man takes a sip of alcohol. His body tells him, don't. He forces him to take another sip. The body says, don't do it. It's wrong. And the more sips you take, then the body says, you know what? It ain't so bad after all. And then it becomes a nasty habit to break. And then guess what happens? Then you start drinking the alcohol like crazy. It becomes an alcoholic, which is an addiction, so to speak. Do you follow me on this? And they don't lead well through change. And of course, this happens. This happens in every denominations you can think of. They don't lead well with change. They want to adhere to the traditions of men, so to speak. And leadership style is autocratic. It's not very good. And self-absorbed. All right. And lastly, the fruit of the Spirit seems absent from their life. Yes. They say every human being is a tree. You know them by the fruits that they bear. You know them by their fruits. And remember, a corrupt tree doesn't bear good fruit, and a good tree doesn't bear corrupt fruit. All right? So, yes, controlling, manipulative pastors wreaking havoc in church. So that happens. Some time ago, in this little place of apartment that I'm staying in, one of the members passed. And, of course, I had to stay behind and watch the home while the person that I was, staying with had to go to the memorial. Some of the stuff I heard that actually went down, I couldn't be there because I would have set things straight. Listen, when people are already down, you don't kick them down. All right? When they're all down, because we lose one of our own, we need support. We don't need condemnation. We don't need nobody that's going to be in the church condemning people, which are already kicked down to the ground. No. That's no. God didn't tell people to kick people down. All right, that's the will of a man. Did that? Okay, so to speak. So I'm going to expose this, and to the pastors that are listening to my channel. You can go ahead and say anything you want. I am exposing corruption in churches. You need to let God do the work. Don't do the work for God. Because man's ways are not God's ways. God's ways are not man's ways. God's ways are higher than man's ways. I said it, and I stand by it. Until next time. Oh, by the way, then somebody's going to say, no pastor can do wrong. Really? So let's take a good look at this. And let's take a good look at this. No, there's Channel 6, WATE. 32 arrested in a human trafficking sting operation. 2 pastors charged with trafficking. You know what? 2 pastors charged with human trafficking. Pastors are supposed to be the source of protection. It don't look like they're a source of protection, are they? It don't look like it, does it? 2 pastors charged. They're Baptist pastors. They're supposed to be the Holy Ghost-filled pastors. They got charged with sex trafficking. So this happened in Knoxville, Tennessee. And it is horrible. You can't even, this is really horrifying. And they even got their mug shots up here. It's horrible. Pastor's supposed to be a shepherd to protect the flock of sheep. Instead, they use them, manipulate them, gaslight them, abuse them, kick them down when they're kick the sheeple down when they're, when something happened to one of the members? Really? That's not God's will. That's not God's way. Any pastor who engages in that should be arrested and charged for verbal abuse, as I shall say. Anyways, this concludes part 2. I will not do any more videos on toxic church leadership. This here concludes the video. This completes it. Let me know what you think in the below and comment, and don't forget to smash the subscribe like button. And if you want some more of my content to be dropped, hit that bell icon and you'll be notified within 5 minutes countdown at midnight Central Standard Time. And thank you for watching, and thank you for listening, and peace out.